Back to the channel, and today we will be discussing Vanderpump Rules episode. I believe we're on episode 14, and I don't know. Last night was, yeah, it was it was a pretty much surrounding Lala's party that she was having for her sperm donor party. We started the episode off with Sheena. She was shooting her music video for Good as Gold. I think it was the Scream version that she redid during the whole scandal of it all. And she pretty much basically was, it was the day when I think Rachel's podcast with Bethany came out. And we saw where the cast kind of reacted to her, her responses in the interview, because, most of it was basically surrounding her saying that she was not friends with them. They were just acquaintances. We also saw where she also was saying that she did not really love Sandoval and she think that she was being used. But we all saw the podcast when it came out. So now we are seeing their reaction to how they, their thoughts from the podcast. For me, it was a bit as what Lisa said. What would Rachel really say to make herself look any better? Because what I got from the podcast when it came out was that she was just trying to throw everybody else under the bus to come off as a saint. And yeah. The next thing we saw also where Lala then decided to ask Sheena regarding Lala decided to ask Ariana regarding if she can use her house to throw her party. And I don't understand Lala. Like, for most of the season, you're bashing this girl, saying she needs to move on. And then now you're here acting like you guys are such friends and you want to use our house to throw your party. Like, which is it? Are we friends? Are we frenemies? Are we enemies? Like, what is it? Like, you can't constantly be throwing jabs at this girl. And we saw recently where she does not follow Katie nor Ariana on her social media anymore. So we guess that something is coming in the next episodes, and also the reunion that made her feel like she wants to be no friends with these people. Then we also got where we saw that James also is reacting to the podcast. We know that in the podcast she spoke about the dog, how he pretty much was allegedly abusive towards the dog, and she felt a way that the dog was now as in Lisa basically gave him back the dog, and she felt some way about that, etc. We then moved to the next scene where we saw Sandoval, who decided to visit Schwartz at his apartment. Sandoval says that he's shocked again about the Rachel podcast because, of course, in the podcast we knew that she said to the world basically that she was not in love with him, and she just felt like she was just caught up in the moment. He decides to break down after all the changes he made, and then he says that because you remember in the episode earlier he was saying that he stopped drinking, he stopped doing a lot of stuff, hoping that they will reconcile, or when she comes out of the mental institution, they will basically get back together. But she feels away now because she said all of this on the podcast. And first of all, I think Lisa told him previous episodes before that he should move on, and that she said that she was not in love with him, etc. So I don't know why he's acting all surprised by the podcast and acting as if like he was still saving himself for her, because Lisa did tell you previously that you need to move on. So why are we acting as if like you did not know about this? We then moved to the next scene where we saw Lisa at her restaurant, and I think they were doing some drink testing, and that is when we saw Schwartz said to Lisa that he's worried about Tom because since the podcast came out, they think that he's pretty much spiraling or he's going back into a depression because of what was said in the podcast. Sandoval then decides to come in late in a bad mood, and then he's, a bit snappy. And then Lisa then trying to, understand what's happening because, of course, Schwartz said to her that she thinks that he is going back in a mood. And then this is where we saw where Lisa says that what could Rachel actually say to make her look in a better light, which is true. But and also she also tells him that he needs to sell a house. And this is where we saw when Logan, who is the manager for Tom Tom, decided to report back to Ariana to say that Tom seems like he wants to sell the house because I guess the offer he made and because she took too long to accept the offer or say anything. So he basically, I guess, spend the money. So he's maybe considering selling the house. We saw where Lala decided to came by, which seemed very fake. Saying that she wants to have a party and she wants to have it at Lisa's house, and just Lisa's acceptance to it just seems like she already knew what was the whole plot of it. So I don't see why it acts as if like Lisa is just easily handing over her house to host any party, for, especially for these people. We get to where we saw Brock and Sheena decide to stop by Ariana. Ariana's whose house is all over the place, messy, and especially now that Anne is no longer working for Sandoval, she is definitely super messy, or the house, I should say, is super messy. Ariana then tells Sheena that the situation at the restaurant that Sandoval is designing to sell the house, and this is what she wanted from Ren because she'd have pretty much been out of the house. We saw where Sheena also spoke about her new song that she has coming out called Apples. And this is another moment of Sheena capitalizing off of Sandoval and the fact that you are telling this girl, you and Lala are telling this girl to move on and it's over just because you guys can no longer capitalize off of the moment. Now you're finding her podcast came out, so now it's like another moment for you to capitalize off of it. And to me, the song sounds like garbage. So I don't see the big surprise or the big excitement over this song. Sheena then decides to help Ariana, which is the only good thing she can do as a friend, is to help Ariana in actually cleaning the house and stuff for it. So then we got to Sandoval, who decided to have the band practice. And this is where we got James, who decided to finally rip into Sandoval, rightfully so, because he's here still mourning the fact like he lost the whole situation with Rachel, and James doesn't want to hear that. We, the audience, no longer want to hear that. But this is where we got James saying that you guys were not in love. It was just a 6 months of a fuckfest. Like, why are we acting as if like you guys were so soulmates and you guys made it strong and everything? Like, it wasn't that serious. And the fact that James also said that he's no longer opening for Sandoval because he's past the stage and they're clearly a joke, and then the camera pans to the band, I'm like, oh my god, like that went from literally 0 to 100 because James just came in pleasant with his dog, everything like that, and then he just moved from there to literally, I'm not opening for you, you guys are a joke, bye. But that was that. We then moved to the next scene where we finally saw Lala's party. We saw where Raquel said to Katie regarding the fact that Lala said something that she was miserable and that is why she is pretty much on edge, basically. Lala then thanks everybody at her party that they're all there because she loves them so much, which contradicting to me because you weren't showing that love throughout the season towards Ariana, basically. Lala then decides to choose her donor, so her friends helped her to choose a donor. So she played this. She pretty much gave 3 donors and she lists out their criteria or their characteristics, and they all chose her donor. And we all know now she is indeed pregnant, and congratulations. Then we saw where Schwartz decided to visit Sandoval. Sandoval now has a new assistant called Craig. And then we also saw Sandoval is also then again considering keeping a house if Schwartz will move in with him basically to be a roommate. And Schwartz don't look like he wants any part of that because it seems like what's the point of him moving in? Like, how is this beneficial to him? What is his takeaway? And yeah. Then we get to the next scene where we saw James and Ali at the house. James then decides, this is when they had a conversation regarding having a child. James says he also sees having a baby in the future with Ali, but we then get where Ali is saying that she never thought about marriage or a baby. And this revelation made James a bit emotional because he sees himself having a child and marriage and everything, and the girl that he's with and actually practically living with It's sad that he does not necessarily she does not necessarily see that, but at least they somewhat came to an ending where she could share with him that she's not just in it for right now, and it seems as if she can change. And when I saw her speaking about this, it just reminded me of Sandoval and Ariana, because we all knew Ariana was not in for the whole child and into the whole having basically getting married. So it just to me seems like a mini, which is odd and weird to say, but a mini Sandoval and Ariana in their communication when they were talking about marriage and kids. Then we got to where they decided to have a brunch at Tom Tom. And we saw where James decided to apologize to Sandoval because we all know of the blow up that they had earlier. And Sandoval was okay in receiving her apology. To me, his response in receiving it to me doesn't seem like he's really over it. But I just think that he just said okay just to get it out of the way. Then we got where Lala then asked Ali and Katie what they were discussing at the party. And I don't know. I don't really think at the party Lala actually saw them discussing anything. I just think that the producers probably told her that something was being discussed and to probe and ask them what was being discussed, knowing that it would cause some, confrontation. Lala then says that she did not necessarily say that Katie was miserable, but she did say that she was not in a happy place, where Katie says she is wrong. We saw where Lala says she does not know where her place is with Katie because she sees that Katie and Ariana are very close, and she does not necessarily know where she fits in, and the fact that she has a child and both of them don't have a child, so she feels as if like no one checks on her basically. Then we got Sheena pushing her head in, basically saying that since she has been hanging with Lala, basically she realized that Lala is the type of person where she wants persons to check in on them, where we saw where both of them necessarily don't check in on each other. So it is something that both of them needs to work on. But we know currently that Lala no longer follows Katie, so I don't see where this friendship will actually go or head. Then we saw where Sheena then decided she always wants to go to her bathroom just to have a moment with Sandoval, because it was the same thing at the previous episodes where she was going to the bathroom, and that's when she ran into Sandoval and they had their moment out in the alley. So again, she was going to the bathroom, of course, to have another moment with Sandoval, because she cannot necessarily say out of her mouth in front of Ariana that she wants to go speak to Sandoval, so she has to pretend like she's going to the bathroom. She decided to talk about the song that she made about Sandoval, and he again is a bit confused because he thought that their friendship was somewhat getting better, and the fact that she is still milking this situation. So rightfully so, he feels as if like, what are we doing here basically? Like, are we friends? Or what are we doing? Then he decided to storm off because he says that rightfully so, if it was the other way around and he was still out singing and making songs about a situation that sadly she was in and the world may be against her, and she thought that this person and them were getting friends, that this person is still milking the situation and actually using your a bad moment in life for you and kind of just constantly egging it on basically. So then that's where he stormed off, and that's where the episode concluded. Only time will tell what will come in the next episode. I am sort of just wanting this season to somewhat come to an end now, because I am just over what's going on. The second half of the season seems a bit better than the first half, but I just want to kind of get to the end and get to the reunion and wrap the season up, and let's see what they can actually bring for the next season. Hopefully it's not the same scandal of it all and the aftermath of it. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below what were your thoughts on the episode. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week as we'll recap Vanderpump Rules. See ya. Bye.